Hello, and welcome back to another episode here on Pressing Positivity. I hope you're all doing okay today. I myself am doing okay. I'm a little bit less busy now, so I have more time for recording episodes and doing some other stuff. Today I'm going to be talking about positivity and what it means to me, because it occurred to me recently that the name of my podcast might not make sense to some people, considering that I'm not always like an unbridled optimist. So I think that there are different levels and different ways to be positive, and today I'm going to be talking about that and maybe get into another topic as well, depending on how much time I have. I have observed that oftentimes people see a happy person and they associate happiness with positivity, and I think that the two things are not mutually exclusive, but that they are separate. You can be a happy person without being positive, and you can be positive without being happy. You know, you can be a realist and be happy. You don't have to be an optimist to be positive. When I look at positivity, I like to try to draw a line between those things, because I think it's so easy to confuse feelings and confuse thought processes. And I think that we have to know what is what before we can actually start thinking in a positive way. And I've decided to talk about this because when I first set up my podcast, I wasn't intending to be kind of a self-help podcast. I was just planning to kind of share some of the things that I've been through and stuff that I've learned from, and just basically any wisdom that I've gathered along the way, in the hopes that it might help somebody else. But I wasn't planning to be self-help. But when you set up a podcast, they kind of force you to categorize yourself and put a label on it. So I did label myself as self-help. And this is helpful to me, actually, coming on my podcasts and talking, in addition to hopefully helping other people. It's kind of cathartic for me as well to be sharing my thoughts and my experiences and my opinions on different topics. If you listen to more than one episode, you will realize that I quite often get off track. So I've gotten off track already. We're not even 3 minutes in and I've got off topic, but that's okay, because we're getting back to topic now about positivity and what it means to me. I've had a lot of negative experiences in my life, and I'm pretty sure that most people can say that they've had quite a lot of negative experiences in their lives. And if you weren't someone who had a lot of negative experiences before, then probably you have begun to since the start of the pandemic, because it's been hard on people. It's really pulled us away from our sort of natural habits and our natural way of doing things. And I think that it can really be a struggle sometimes to kind of get through those things and start feeling better and, climb out of depression if you become depressed, or climb out of laziness, because during lockdowns and working from home, etc., it's been very easy to become lazy, and that's not the natural state that we should be in. So I think that it's hard for a lot of people to kind of find their way back from that, and also dealing with the changes that have happened globally since, for the past couple years, because things really aren't the same, and it's hard to tell if things will ever go back to the way that they were. I really don't think that they ever will. And some things have changed for the better and some things have not. But this is how we're living now, and I think that dealing with that can be a struggle. So as I was saying, I've been through a lot of really difficult and really negative experiences in my life. And through it all, almost always, I have remained positive, or I have maintained positivity. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is how I've done that. And hopefully it can help anybody out there who's feeling like they're really in a rut, or feeling like they're really struggling with negativity, or to find themselves in a positive space. Now, being positive, at least for me, doesn't mean that you never feel negativity, or that you don't have negative experiences, or that you can't feel bad about a situation that you're in, or that you've been through, or any type of, depression or sadness. It doesn't mean that you don't feel those things. It just means that in spite of those things, you are able to look forward and know that things are going to get better. I have a mantra for when I'm feeling this way, for when I'm feeling really down, really depressed, things are really going terribly. And that mantra is that this is today. And if there's one thing that you can count on, is time passing. Today will pass. So when I say this is today, it means that tomorrow has all of the possibilities to be better than today. So this will pass. Whatever you're going through now, it will pass. It's going to get better because it has to. Time is going to pass and things will change. Now, of course, this isn't an immediate fix, and it doesn't make things immediately better, but reminding yourself that things will not be bad forever, at least for me, is extremely helpful in being able to look forward. Because I think that a lot of times we as people, and this is myself included, we have a tendency to focus on negative things. Something bad happens and we focus on that. It's easier to forget the good things that have happened than it is to forget the negative things that have happened. And oftentimes that might be because the negative experience that we had was traumatic, or we were traumatized from it in some way, or we were really hurt by it, and we fear pain. That's natural to fear pain, or to avoid pain. That's what our brains are constantly telling us to do. So this is a natural response to a bad situation or a negative experience. The harder thing to do, and the thing that I'm suggesting, is that we train our brains to not focus on the negative things. And of course, this isn't going to work for everything. If you had an extremely traumatic experience, this isn't going to work for that. For those types of situations, there are a lot of things that you have to work through before you can start to heal from that. I akin this to when you had a traumatic experience that you didn't deal with. It's like having a wound that's just a scab, and the scab is never going away. So every time that something happens and you're triggered to remember the traumatic experience, it's like ripping the scab off. Then you start healing, but you only ever heal halfway. So if you had a traumatic experience, you really need to work through those feelings, work through those emotions before you can start to heal from it. The type of negative and bad things that I'm talking about are like day-to-day things, like, oh, your boss wasn't happy with your work, or you had an argument with a friend or a loved one, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about remaining positive. I'm not trying to downplay anyone's traumatic experience or anything like that. So as I was saying, when I'm going through a bad time, I remember that it might be bad today. I might be feeling bad today, but the future is, full of possibilities. And there's every possibility that tomorrow I'm going to feel better. If I get into like a long-term depression or sadness or rut, I like to make lists. I like to make goals of things that I want to accomplish. And I believe I was talking about this in my previous episode about accomplishing small goals in my New Year episode. And that's kind of what I do to remain positive. I try to not dwell on the argument that I had or what my boss said about my work. I just try to set goals and look forward to them. I look forward to accomplishing minor goals in order to stay positive. I set small attainable goals so that I know that I can accomplish them. I only have to put a little bit of energy towards it, especially if I'm really depressed and I'm feeling like I have no energy. Having the small goals really can help with that so much, because you will start feeling a sense of accomplishment. You'll start feeling good because you check something off your list. And that really, really works for me. Lists don't work for everybody, but this method really works for me. It might work for some of you, or you know yourself better than anybody else knows you. So if a list isn't your thing, then find another way to set yourself small goals and accomplish them. Every single day, do something little. If you don't have the energy, do something even smaller. Like if you have your own business, you could look at updating your social media on a regular basis. You could write letters to someone that you care about. You could create something. You could, be artistic if you want to be artistic. And there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody. If you're an athletic person, you could go outside. If you're not up for running yet or whatever, because you don't have the energy for that, you could do something smaller. Go take a little walk around the block. Just one little thing every day. But the reason that I'm suggesting that you start small is because if you set yourself a big goal, like I just use athletic as an example. If you set your first goal to go for like a 3-mile run and you're depressed and you don't have the energy, then you're not going to really be able to achieve that goal, not realistically on a consistent basis. That's why I say start small. Go for a walk around the block, then do 2 blocks, then do 3 blocks, then go for a jog. Make the goals small and achievable so that you can look forward to doing it. Or it won't be too painful if you have to force yourself to do it. Because sometimes we don't get better by just letting time pass. Sometimes we have to force ourselves to do something so that we can get over the first hump. Sometimes getting over the first hump is the hardest thing to do. And I have been experiencing that myself lately. I was really busy, but I was also in a rut, and I was starting to feel more depressed because I wasn't doing the things that I want to do. I was only doing things that I had to do, and that can be a problem. And I know I was reading an article recently about there's like a pandemic of people overworking, especially now that people are working from home. They're working much longer hours because the work is there. So if you can't sleep and there's nothing on Netflix that you want to watch, people are starting to work in the middle of the night. It's not healthy. So we have to, set time for the things that we want to do and make goals so that we can achieve the things that we want to achieve. And that makes us feel good. That makes us start to feel good inside. I'm a person who likes to stay busy. I don't like to be idle for too long. So, this podcast is one way of me helping myself to stay busy and achieve things that I want to achieve, which is helping people. So yeah, I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you enjoy my podcast, please subscribe or follow depending on what platform you listen on. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.